Welcome back to Interview Ninja Step 53, which is quite long because we want to finish off reviewing Corbyn's work experience while working at the pantomime at the Royal Theatre in Bath, England. So we're going to cover having enough data to be able to analyse a work experience, getting good at fast estimating of money, rates of pay from hourly to annual, differentials between high and low paid skills, which is a big issue for employers and unions and people like that, working for experience value as well as money, which young people really have to build up their experience, and using work to build personal power. If you don't do that, you will always be at the bottom of the food chain for wages, or worse still, join the millions and millions of young people who can't get a job. You are doing fantastically to have made it this far in the Interview Ninja course, and hopefully you've also been watching the Get the Job You Want course, and you are well on track to be able to get a job, and more importantly, the kind of work you really want to do.
Emotional journeys. I'll do kids and then parents and grandparents together, because Graham might disagree, but I think they're probably grouped. The kids would be engrossed in the story. I was talking to the guy who writes the script about how he writes the script for the children. He says that his main priority is that the story holds together for the kids. So, because that's really what the selling point is. Parents take the children. So it's often the parents don't go for themselves. They take the kids and they know that they'll enjoy it with the kids there. So the main gripping point is that the children enjoy the story and that they understand. So
it's great that Corbyn is actively seeking information about the whole gestalt of the panto experience for everyone involved. The script writer is a good place to start, as everything else is about how that script is transformed through the magic of theatre into a memorable occasion, especially for the children.
If a joke's going to ruin the storyline, then it's not made. Story comes first. So the emotional journey for the kids follows what the story is. I won't go into the story of Snow White, but it's as you expect. If the Snow White gets poisoned, the kids will scream. If Snow White gets kissed by a prince and woken up again, they do lots of shouting and saying, "Oh, yay, she's not dead." So there is a journey there, and there's a lot more to explore in terms of how the script takes you on that path of engagement for the children and kind of excitement. But I'd say the more interesting emotional journey is for the parent and the grandparents, because they've seen this show before their kids, when they were kids, and they've probably, lots of them with younger children, are probably coming back to this show after 10, 20 years, after they've stopped going with their new children and are watching this again. And because it's so consistent every year, it feels like it did when they finished. And I think parents love that. Also, there's loads of smutty jokes and general smuttiness, which goes straight over the children's heads, and the parents love it, and it gets them coming back. So they're excited to take their children. And then they have the bit where the kids go off on the end, which I think is, again, an emotional journey for the parent. I think that's probably the peak, because that's probably something they would have done, and now they're watching their children do it. And there's a lot of the sentimental value that goes into the pantomime that really keeps it rolling, because it's a pretty bad show. It's just kept afloat by the traditional values of the people that go and see it.
What we're seeing and hearing here is Corbyn has a natural empathy for other people of different ages. With a bit of coaching and more awareness of that natural ability, he will be able to use this in his music. Empathy is a combination of emotional and social intelligences, where you develop the skill of being able to relate to how other people are feeling and thinking in different situations. It is all too often just ignored. But you do see it when TV interviewers often ask a guest after they've had a particular experience, how do they feel? And that's the first thing they get asked, because in many, many ways, how you feel about something is more important than what you think about it.
Economics of the panto. I was going to do some maths, but Graham came in too early. I couldn't finish. Each seat is roughly £15, 15 to £20 each, right? So let's call it 15. Let's do the lower bound. And there's 900 seats in the theatre, and I'd say we were sold out 65% of the time. Let's call it 60% of the time. Again, let's take the lower bound. Cheapest seats for £15, sold out 60% of the time, did 52 shows. And then the other times, I'd say, let's say we're half full. So this is going to be very rough. I'm taking the minimum amount that the theatre would take back. But so it's £15 for a seat.
Wow.
900 seats. And what's 60% of 52? 31.2. So let's say 31 of the shows were sold out. So that's 31 times 900 times 15. So that's, did I type that in wrong? 31, that's a lot of money. Maybe I didn't. 31 shows, yes, times £15 times 900 for the amount of seats. Yeah, that's £418,500. I've got it. And then there's 40%, sorry, it's 40% of shows.
Now he really gets lost, as if it were a sum at school, and he has to get the right answer. In business, he will need the fastest and most flexible answer. Only accountants need to be exact. The rest of us have to develop AFI soft skills to use numbers as tools to pursue our purpose. So why are we doing these sums at all? My purpose is to get Corbyn thinking about the whole financial aspect of the Panto enterprise. Who gets what? What do they have to do to get it? And where is the big money, i.e., most profit, not just turnover? As you listen to Corbyn struggling through, think, how would you do this calculation? What data has he collected that will enable you to get to a quick and relevant answer? And then have a go yourself.
So I'll do 52 minus 31. So there's 21 shows at 50% full. So 21 selling 450 seats at £15. So that's an additional 47. Let me just check that. 450 seats, 21 shows. Did the lighting just change, or was that me being insane?
Corbyn has a long way to go doing these kinds of calculations. The number 21 is aggravating me because the exactness is standing in the way of a fast estimation. In engineering, it's called degrees of tolerance. In business speak, it's called just give me the big picture now. I will let him carry on. He's done very well to find out all the necessary details. Now he has to learn fast estimation skills, or business people will chew him up. He may even get asked a question a bit like this in an interview, and they will be watching for how he strikes that balance between speed and accuracy. It doesn't mean you have to be lightning fast at maths. It does mean you need to work with what is important and what is relevant to the specific situation.
Do you know what?
Doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. Just add a factor.
Yeah.
You know,
It doesn't matter.
Multiply the original figure, call the figure 500,000, and then multiply that by
Hey, we've done it.
1.5, 2, whatever.
I know it doesn't matter. I just.
So what are we getting?
So we're getting that
Tell the camera.
they probably take back.
Don't tell the computer.
No, I will. They get, like you said, about 600 grand
Is that
over the course of the whole thing.
turnover or
That's
total
that's
take?
revenue.
Revenue. Total revenue.
Yeah.
It's usually called turnover.
Sorry, that was boring.
No, not at all. It's not boring. That's the whole point.
Yeah,
If you're
it's-
talking numbers,
Yeah.
it's one of the most interesting figures is your revenue.
No, I don't mean the revenue was boring. My process of working it out wasn't
Oh, no, that's all
the
right.
less engaging. £600,000, I'd say, is a pretty minimum amount that they would have turned over from that.
Okay. And what would you estimate their costs at?
And I think,
Especially staff costs.
well, it works like
Using your applied functional intelligence to do applied functional analysis is a soft skill, and it's about developing your natural ability and common sense to do things better. In business and any other activity in the world of work, where time, money, and energy are limited, it is important to learn how to optimize the situation. If you want to avoid becoming a wage slave and take more control of your own life, you need to learn basic business skills. In just 1 hour, you can teach yourself about turnover, revenue, costs, and profit. Building these skills is usually a bit of a gap in most schooling. Another area you could well improve is understanding Hertzberg and Maslow. So there's a two-factor theory about what motivates people and how you give them satisfaction in work. And what's more important is how are you going to get satisfaction in work? Is it just wages, or is there more to life than just earning money? And I can assure you there's a great deal more, because when you're spending nearly all your working hours doing something, you want it to be something that you enjoy, as well as being able to pay the rent.
the production company called UK Productions approaches the theatre.
Too
Right.
much detail.
Too much. Okay, someone approaches the theatre and they give the theatre a set amount for putting on the show. So the Theatre Royal made 180 grand from this show off the block. That's all they got.
Okay.
And then the production company gets whatever else is made on top of that.
How
and then
interesting.
splits that out between the cast and the crew.
Okay.
So theatre made 180,000 in profit because they don't have to hire anyone
Right.
apart from like front of house. But I don't know what the costs of them are. There's only about 5 of them.
It's quite normal for a person to have not even the faintest idea about just how expensive it is to have a commercial property. Just to stop it falling to bits, there are hundreds of costs. Then comes tax, insurance, utilities like heating and lighting and stuff. And it must cost the Theatre Royal, which is an old property, 200 or 300 years old, many thousands just to survive. The pantomime season is what probably enables them to keep going throughout the year. Next time you go into any shop, ask yourself, how much money is it costing the owners of this shop to be here, and where is the money coming from, as well as where is the money going to? Because if you're looking for a job in a shop, for example, the people who are going to employ you have to strike that balance between profit and cost. And it's not always obvious that a shop will survive, especially in these very changing times. Employers are looking for people who can help them in that battle.
So let's say that the production company took home 400,000. I got 1,500 of that for the whole thing. My colleagues got 2,500 for the whole thing. And there were 4 of them. So I reckon,
2,500 each.
yes,
So
I got less. So
Right.
John got more than that. John got way more than that. But my equivalent roles.
Yeah.
I got less because I'm young. I didn't barter.
Right.
But, John, God knows, I didn't ask John what he got, but he said it's enough to kind of support him for the whole year.
Corbyn got 1,500, in this case pounds, and the other people doing exactly the same job got 2,500. This is called the price of experience that young people often have to endure. It is therefore vital that they make it worth their while by learning. It isn't just earning, it's earning, learning and growing, and being able to increase their personal power. Then they're able to say to a future employer, look, I already have this experience and I am worth more. This course is brought to you by the Institute of Practical Learning. It's not ethical or theoretical or moral, it's practical. And you have to accept that in the world of work, there isn't very much fairness as such. Employers will pay as little as they can within the legal framework.
Really?
Yes.
So what would you
So
estimate?
I
that to
think
be?
he's probably on about 25. I know the most expensive character in any panto in the UK this year was £250,000 for a 4-week run. That would have been in a big theatre. I reckon she was maybe 50 grand.
Okay, so let's say
So that's
he
not bad.
earns 25,000.
Yeah.
In how many days?
35.
Divided by 35. Okay.
Yeah.
Times, let's say there's 240 working days in the year, roughly.
Yeah.
So it's like 5 days a week. Yeah. So it's 240. So his rate of pay
Yeah, 170,000
per annum.
Yes.
So it's a high rate of pay,
Yes, absolutely.
but he doesn't get it.
No.
And that's what influence rates of pay are very important for availability of work. So if you can only get access to work 2 days a week or 4 days a month or whatever, you get this big high rate of pay, but actually you don't get many jobs in a year. So the trick, if you want to earn big bucks, is to have a premium skill, high value,
Oh, yeah.
all year if you want it.
Yeah.
But as many years as you want.
Yes. Well,
Oh, sorry, as many days
that's
as
the
you
thing
want.
with the pantomime is the main character, like the big star who was the evil queen, would have, I reckon she would have got 50 grand. And that works out to be like 300 grand a year.
So the last sum I'm going to do is we
Yeah.
worked out that it was the turnover
Yeah.
was
600,000.
600,000. Okay. So divided by, what I'm going to do is let's say John's was 25.
And I think there would be 4 characters on 2,500 and 1 character on
Yeah.
50.
Divided by 6. Yeah. So
John got 4% of the turnover.
4.16%. Very often a skilled component of a business will get 4%. Give me in one sentence, how did you feel?
Yeah.
It's a feeling question. How did you feel about doing that exercise that you've just done? Don't share it with the camera, not the paper.
Hey, I'll have you know I wasn't sharing anything with the paper. Hey, watch that back.
I'm going to. That's why I wanted
Yeah.
to put it on there.
I felt like I can only normally talk for about 30 seconds without running out of things to say, and I don't know how long I was. Felt like it was about half an hour. I don't know if I was that long, 20 minutes, and I still had more to talk about, and I rushed it. So I guess I did find either I had something interesting to talk about,
Mm-hmm.
or I've learned something, because that was easier than I thought it was going to be.
Well, I would strongly encourage you to watch it back.
A lot of this step has been about applied functional intelligence, and especially the kind of work you choose to do to earn, learn, and build your personal power and grow. It's worth working out your pay in terms of how much per hour, per week, and per year you're getting if you are actually working, or hope to get a job. What is most important to you, time or money? If you can develop a premium skill in a high-demand market and stay flexible, you have the best chance, especially if you also have the soft skills that this Interview Ninja course and the Get the Job You Want course are going to give you. And if you've reached this far, you're well on your way. In step 54, we're going to briefly review our progress so far and help Corbin and hopefully yourself set a path for the next phase of your journey.